it's me again. I'm going to continue reading from my book, The 1900s. Let's go. The Roosevelt set sail. 2 years later, we find this intrepid man encamped on the bleak shores of Cape Sabine, surrounded by loyal Eskimos, patiently perfecting his equipment and preparing for that hazardous trip of 800 miles to the top of the earth. 4 years he remained in the north and returned scarred and temporarily beaten, but with the knowledge of why he was beaten. The secret of final success. His staunch friends believed in him and gathered around him, and in the fall of 1904 they saw the sturdy Roosevelt beginning to take shape under the skillful hands of Maine shipbuilders, with engines throbbing under high pressure and smoke belching from her funnel. Perry and Captain Bob Bartlett finally hurled his first American-built polar ship around Cape Sheridan and into the Polar Sea, farther north than any other ship had ever steamed. She had done what she was planned to do. She had justified her existence, and there she lay on the northern shore of Grant Land, panting like an athlete at the end of the race. Long before the sun returned, the 90-mile trail to Cape Columbia was padded down with the feet of more than 200 dogs. From that point to the pole, the course lay straight out over the drift ice of the Polar Sea for 413 miles. With the ever-repeated hook, hook, and the snapping of whips, men, dogs, and sledges were swallowed up in the rough sea ice, and again silence reigned along the shore, along the face of the cliff, and in and about the deserted snow village. The pole eludes Perry again. All went well for a few days, which is but a friendly ruse of the Arctic to inspire confidence, and then it happened. A 6-day blizzard, obliterating the trail, smashing up the ice of the Polar Sea, scattering and destroying caches of food, and driving off 60 miles to the east. One by one, the various divisions struggled shoreward, but Perry and his men, although knowing that no relief could be expected from the rear, that all food supplies were gone, deliberately turned their backs toward home and their faces toward their objective point and plodded on until they stood the world record of farthest north, 174 miles from the pole. Weeks later, that tired little band climbed feebly up over the ice foot on the northern coast of Greenland, burned their life sledge for fuel, ate one of the 3 dogs, and began their long walk back to the ship, frozen in the ice at Cape Sheridan. Within 2 weeks, this indomitable man was heading west along the northern shores of Grant Land, and a 1,000-mile trip to the northern shores of Axel Heiberg Island. Such a journey immediately following such an experience in the Polar Sea was so improbable and apparently impossible so late in the year that many were inclined to doubt Perry's claim to have reached that distant point. In 1906, Perry arrived in America reporting that he had failed to reach the pole, but declaring that he would make another and last attempt. A final attempt for the pole. We entered upon this enterprise with no misunderstanding. We knew what we were facing, for we had followed him in our reading for years. We knew that this was probably his last attempt and that he might go beyond the limit of safety, but if so, then we all wanted to be with him and were eager for the start. As we steamed along the Labrador coast and into the ice of Baffin Bay, we began to know our commander and were drawn strangely toward the man whom we recognized as one thoroughly versed in ice technique, a master of his profession. We have to call the parting words of President Roosevelt an oyster face. Perry, I believe in you, and if it is possible for a man to get there, I know you'll do it. Decks were cleared for a battle in Melville Bay. Holes were carefully restored. Necessary food and equipment made readily accessible. Boats supplied with provisions, rifles, and ammunition for a retreat following possible loss of our ship. Those happy days of wending our way northward, in and out between floes and Azure passed all too quickly. Finally, that day arrived when we passed in under the big hills of Meteorite Island and heard the glad cry of those far north natives upon beholding Perry Arkansas, Big Perry, back then. Let there be no doubt as to Perry's popularity in the far north. Absolutely honest and square in all his dealings with those black-haired children of the Arctic, firm but ever just and kind in all his relations. He remained to them as the great Nalgak, a leader or chief among men. We can never forget this reception at Cape York. Kayaks darting about the ship, the shouts of his former dog drivers, men who had starved with him on the polar sea, others on the shore, standing at the water's edge, ready to grasp the bow of our boat, women laughing, babies crying, and half-grown children without look of mingled fear and animal curiosity. How happy they were to see him back, and how eagerly and how impatiently they awaited the word to pack their world's goods and transfer all to the deck of the Roosevelt for the long voyage northward. So was every village. The best men in the whole tribe awaited his call. Ooh. The push northward continues. Some 3 weeks later, with decks almost awash and black and fuzzy with dogs and Eskimos, the saucy-looking Roosevelt swung around Sunrise Point and into the heavy ice of Smith Sound, her destination, the northern shores of Grantland, far up at the edge of the Polar Sea. Behind us, upon the shores of Folk Fjord, was a reserve of calm food to which Perry and his men could retreat if this ship was crushed. Such wise precaution was the result of his years of labor in the north and his repeated failures. The successful negotiation of this last dangerous stretch Perry considered as a crucial link in the long chain of success. That no opportunity for advance to be lost was very evident from his almost constant vigil on the bridge, in the main rigging, or in the crow's nest. Together, Captain Bob Bartlett and Perry drove the ship farther northward than any other ship ever steamed. Boats were ready for immediate launching. Food lined the rail. Emergency bags were packed. Once in our winter quarters, Perry again displayed his qualities of leadership by removing from the ship everything absolutely needed for the attainment of the pole and the retreat southward if the vessel should be crushed, carried away by ice, or burned. In spite of the loss of the Roosevelt, the work would have been carried out as planned. Even houses were built to shelter a large contingent of 75 men, women, and children. Please rate, comment, and subscribe down below, and please ring that bell notification so that you can know when I post. And if you're on TikTok, please like and follow my videos, and please pay for one of my things on eBay and or Mercari. Okay, bye.